Hi, my name's Don and welcome back to Project Urtle. We're on the road again. It's been slightly more than a year since we've been anywhere significant in Urtle. The last winter, when we would normally be travelling somewhere, we actually spent in Europe, which was fun, but it didn't put any kilometres on this vehicle. But we've got a mission this week. We're heading to Brisbane and we're going to attend a DIY demonstration day with StyroMax, the people that cut my body panels for the camper. There'll be about 20 to 25 vehicles, all DIY vehicles, on display, and somewhere around about 150 people coming to look at it, look at the manufacturing facility, get ideas, talk to other suppliers of things like windows and lights and all that kind of stuff. So we're taking a couple of days to drive up to Brisbane. We're heading inland rather than going up the coast, and we're basically heading up through the mountains, the coastal range. Currently in the little town of Stroud, having just had some lunch, and Stroud's a lovely little town. They're getting ready to have a rodeo this weekend. So we'll try and take a few photos on the way to show you a little bit of this country. And sorry about all the noise of the trucks and everything going past us, but that's life on the road. So we'll catch up again shortly. As I just said, the plan was to take a inland route through the mountains rather than the coast, and this is the countryside heading up through the dividing range towards Walker, predominantly along Thunderbolt's way. Thunderbolt being a celebrated bushranger. The Great Dividing Range is interesting. It separates Australia into two halves, or two sections rather. That east of the range and that west of the range. Most of Australia is west of the range. There's only a very small coastal strip. The range is around about 3,500 kilometres long. Our first settlers who came to Australia to colonise it had a great difficulty crossing these ranges. They were English, and as far as they were concerned, you crossed the mountain range by walking up the valley to a pass and then over to the other side. Well, each time they tried that on this way, they ran into vertical cliffs, and it took them quite a while before they thought, oh, maybe if we walked up the ridges we could get across, which eventually worked. Along the way there's a number of lookouts, and you can get a sort of a feel for what this edge of the country looks like. Quite different to the desert interior. We found a free camp in a area known as a stock transport route. These are little places set aside to allow cattle being moved from point A to point B to have a rest overnight, which we took advantage of. This one's right alongside of the River Styx, which we were careful not to cross. A couple of kilometres away from this campsite is Point Lookout, which gives you a wonderful 180-degree view across these mountains again. It's very, very smoky. There's a lot of fires already this year, and the valleys tend to fill up with smoke. But if looking in this direction we are now, we're about 50 kilometres away from the coast, and on a clear day you can see the coast. Then having spent an hour or so enjoying the view in the morning, we were back on the road again, predominantly up the New England Highway, through to Ipswich. We spent the night in Ipswich, and then the next morning drove in to visit family in Brisbane, and then that night camped in the front yard of StyroMax's factory facility with a number of other DIYers. Next morning we set up, and those that didn't spend the night there came in the early hours, and we prepared for the onslaught of visitors. I had fully intended to spend time and look in and give you a look at all of these vehicles, but almost from the moment that the gates opened for visitors, I was inundated with people who wanted to talk about Urtle, what it can do, what's in it, how did it go, how did I build it, etc. A number of people had spent a considerable amount of time watching my build videos and had come basically to interrogate me, as was the same thing with almost every other builder displaying their handiwork here on the site. StyroMax put on a very good show, really. As it turned out, there were probably over 300 visitors, and there were demonstrations in the factory of laminating and cutting StyroMax's panels. There was workshops on how to design, what information you needed for your design. There were displays of suppliers of windows and lights and tools. There was also a display of dragsters. The proprietors of StyroMax are heavily into drag racing. This unit in front of us now is what I call an earth cruiser, as is this one here, and they are really huge by comparison to our little camper. They're all designed to do much the same thing. A lot of people who build these units have off-road capability firmly in mind. Some of the caravans have what they call a toy hauler back in them, where you can open up a back and park motorcycles or 4x4 off-road ATVs, those kind of things. And some of the units on display inside the factory were used to transport drag cars, and they had a small facilities in the front, a kitchen, bathroom, etc., and a bed with room to park a vehicle in the back. On site there were the Rotary Club doing sausage chisels, ice cream van and a coffee van. This vehicle here fits inside of a 20-foot container and has been shipped all over the world, has covered most of Europe, Eurasia and North America. They're currently in the process of building a Earth Roamer style bigger unit because they now have a family to transport. The ice cream truck, that was important. And as you can see, Dell's sitting in the shade outside of our van and is currently being interrogated by another interested person. And there's a couple of people inside checking it all out. There really wasn't a time when there wasn't somebody here looking at the unit. It was a lot of fun.
We then packed up and headed home and took another 2 days to get home.